Hi, I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your Psychic Tarot love reading. This reading is for my Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn Earth signs. The timestamps are below, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into your person's hidden feelings for you. This is a love reading, and it's for those of you who are already connected with someone, even if you are currently in no contact with your person. This will be a very specific message, so it may not resonate for all of you. If it feels right, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you may want to check out the readings for your other placements, so Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you get notified when the next videos are up. So Taurus, let's jump in. So I always like to tune into the energies first, Taurus, before I start pulling any cards. I feel like you have somebody that is waiting for you to give them some kind of commitment, to take some kind of step which moves things to the next level here. And what I'm feeling around you is quite a busy life, and I feel like there's a lot of questions, that are coming up, like, is this really the right moment? Like, I've got this going on, that going on. Like, for some of you, you might be working towards your career or a life goal, or it might be family obligations, a lot going on around you. But the question that I keep hearing is this just a story that, are these just stories that you're telling yourself? Because will there ever be, a perfect moment? And there is a question, I feel, is it fear? Is it negative limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, fears or insecurities? And I do feel like that's the big question. Are these really valid reasons? Because sometimes they are, but I'm also picking up a little bit of fear, deep down inside. And sometimes we can tell ourselves, all these stories when really it's actually a fear that we need to work through. I feel a lot of disappointment in your past, and there might be a difficulty to kind of trust and open up. With your overall energies, we have the High Priestess. This is all about using your intuition, and it's also this energy of a sense of knowing. And sometimes this card comes up when there is a sense of something deeper with a person, that this is some kind of significant connection. Sometimes it can be a soulmate connection. And deep down inside, you are being asked to perhaps trust that knowing, that intuition here. Your person's view of you, the Four of Wands, that's a milestone energy. It often represents these moments where, things do go to a next level. I always think of the Four Wands as a gateway, and that might be a gateway to perhaps putting a title on the connection, moving in together. It's some kind of significant moment in the relationship. With their feelings towards you, the Six of Pentacles, their intentions towards you, the Nine of Wands. There's definitely something that I'm feeling here around, on their side, they're feeling like they're perhaps giving more than they're getting back from you. Because with the Nine of Wands, this is somebody that's invested a lot, they put a lot of time and energy in, but there's also an exhaustion here. Something is not being, returned to them or being reciprocated. With your feelings, we have the Emperor. It is a card of stability and security. It's a card of being in your power, but the shadow side to this might be where we're wanting to, you know, hold on to control for some reason. Let's just look at the challenge for you. The challenge is the Chariot. And that's all about, you know, taking some kind of step in this situation. You know, the Chariot is a card of movement. For some of you, it's travel. Maybe this person's at a distance. And that might be, you know, the difficult decision that some of you are facing right now. You know, it might be to be with this person involves some kind of, you know, change of location. But it can just be also a challenge around, you know, taking some kind of step forwards here. With the hidden influence, we have the Three of Cups. Definitely feels like some of you might be at a distance because the Three of Cups speaks of, you know, reconciliation, of coming together. I do feel the person that you're dealing with, you know, thinks the world of you. I really do get that strong feeling, you know, with this Four of Wands here. And I do feel their feelings are genuine and they see a potential with you. I feel like they also have, you know, that deeper sense of knowing with the High Priestess as your overall energies there. You know, there's something significant. There's something more here. And I definitely feel it is to have a look at what might be holding you back. You know, what is holding you back from, you know, taking some kind of step towards embracing this connection? Because I do feel what's on the table here is something real. And I feel like this is someone that really adores you and they want to take things to the next level. They see the potential here. And I just have this feeling that, you know, it might be that there is a fear or an insecurity that you need to perhaps find the courage to work through. Trust has been broken in the past, and that's why I feel like a little bit of a guarded energy where, you know, somehow keeping a kind of control, you know, has protected you. But I do feel the universe has perhaps brought in an opportunity for something different in this case. And I definitely feel, you know, it is to take a moment and just, you know, really tune into yourself and just check in, you know, are these valid reasons? You know, that, you know, I can't do this, I can't take that step because whatever that is, you know, or is it actually deep down inside there's a fear to trust and open up here? So with your advice from the universe, it's exactly what I just said, actually. Judgment. So you're being asked to question things here. And I think the biggest question is, you know, what is holding you back? What is this kind of motivating energy that, you know, is driving, you know, your decisions or the stories that you're telling yourself? Because judgment is about learning from the past, but also letting go of, you know, what truly no longer serves you, whether that's a pattern, a limiting belief, or a fear. You know, it's about taking the wisdom, you know, from the experiences in the past and really looking at, you know, what do you take moving forwards and what do you actually need to let go of here? Because, you know, I do feel what's at stake here, you know, could be, you know, your happiness and that deeper emotional fulfillment. So what lies in your outcome, the Page of Cups. Pages are often messengers, and, you know, this is an offer of love. Might be something that's, you know, fairly recent. You know, I know we have the Nine of Wands there, which, you know, does say that there's a little bit of history here. But, you know, maybe it is still fairly recent, like a few months or something like that. But I do feel that, you know, this is a genuine offer. It's an offer of love. And you're absolutely, I feel, being asked to just really take a step back and have a little bit of a deeper look here, because this is somebody who, you know, sees a future with you. They want to move things to the next level, you know, but it may require perhaps some kind of, you know, leap of faith somehow, even if that's, you know, you opening up and trusting, you know, trusting them with your heart. So let's get your person's hidden message for you. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation. I feel you even though we're apart. So definitely some of you, there's a distance there. We will be together again. I love that because we had the Three of Cups as well. My life is not as together as it seems. It's time for me to heal now. I couldn't let you get close to me. So Taurus, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Virgo. Virgo, so let's see. Person's hidden feelings towards you, any blocks, challenges that might be affecting the connection at this time. So one more shuffle. Okay, Virgo, let's jump in. So I always like to tune into the energies, Virgo, before I start pulling any cards. I just like to see what comes through. The first thing I'm feeling here is a bit of fear. And there's either a new connection that some of you are, you know, being given the opportunity to embrace, and there's a little bit of fear around that. Or there's a fear around walking away from somebody, you know, something that's not working anymore. And I do have kind of the echoes of your monthly reading. You know, it feels scary because it's right. It's the right thing to do. With your overall energies, we have the Two of Pentacles. So some kind of decision that's, you know, being needed to make here. And you are being asked perhaps to kind of really just weigh things up. You know, the Two of Pentacles is really about, you know, getting your priorities in the right order. So working out, what do you truly want in your life? What's truly important to you? It's often a card of balance. You know, some of you may be balancing, you know, different areas of your life with love. Your person's view of you, the Hierophant. Their feelings towards you, the Nine of Swords. Their intentions, the Hermit. Let's just get your feelings here. Your feelings is the Queen of Swords. I feel like you've spoken a truth. And I feel like for many of you, this is a person that you're still dealing with. And it feels to me like there's a big question as to, you know, whether it's time to move on from this connection. And I feel like this is a real challenge, actually, because I do feel like this is a long-standing connection. Because when you have the energies of the Hierophant, you know, this speaks of, you know, solid foundations and connections which are built on, you know, shared values. You know, these are like these strong foundations that, you know, really build, you know, those long-term connections. And you've got somebody here who is really doing some soul searching right now, you know, and they may be, you know, in quite a lot of anxiety about what might be happening between the two of you. This is the energy of, you know, someone really being stuck in their thoughts about you and, you know, running things over and over in their mind. You know, the kind of thing where, you know, you wake up in the night and the thoughts start and you can't get back to sleep again. And somebody who is, you know, really doing some deep reflection about the connection with you, because this, you know, the energies of the Hermit are all about, you know, somebody going within. So it may be that you have, really spoken your truth about something. You may have laid your cards on the table. I feel like there's a question of needs here, not having your needs met in some way. I get the sense that might be an emotional support that you might have needed more of in some way. Somehow I'm feeling like you have been needing, a little bit more of an investment from your person somehow. And it might be that, sometimes we get complacent, like especially when it's a long-term connection, we can get into a routine. And it's almost this energy. I just see someone that maybe got a little bit, they dropped the ball and they got a little bit kind of settled into a routine and kind of stopped putting in, the effort that was needed here, which I feel started to create a distance and left you feeling like, your needs weren't being met in some way here. But at the same time, there's some deep bonds in this connection. But whatever you have spoken, I definitely feel that has triggered, the person that you're dealing with to really be, doing a lot of soul searching right now. You might be in a moment of no contact, or it might be that you're feeling a little bit closed off from each other at the moment. So in the challenge, the Five of Swords, there may have even have been some conflict here. The Five of Swords speaks of winning an argument, but winning at all costs. And often this is, these very ego-driven kinds of arguments where, somebody just wants to be right, even if, the relationship, gets damaged in some way. And the challenge here might be around, seeing each other's perspective here and letting go of the need to be right. Because with the Two of Pentacles here, you're being asked to look at, what is truly important to you? Where do your priorities really lie? And, sometimes it's to get more into the energy of what truly matters here. And letting go of perhaps the need to be right. Like that could be you, that could be your person, or both of you. You might both have your heels dug in. But, it's maybe about focusing on, what is truly important in this, rather than, wanting to be the one that is right, wanting to win. So it's kind of created a little bit of a tower moment in the connection, but sometimes these moments are necessary, and something, needs to break down so it can be put back together in a better way here. That's the invitation. The hidden influence is the Five of Pentacles. Somebody moving on. That could be you, that could be your person. Sometimes this is when there's a sense of feeling abandoned by somebody in a connection. It may actually be somebody that, that has moved on and you feel abandoned, or vice versa. But it's a card of sometimes feeling like you have to move on from something, and there's a sense of a loss in that, an instability. But hidden in this card are always the soul lessons, I feel, of, moving forwards, knowing your worth, knowing your value. So the question is, is there still something that can be salvaged here? Because I do feel like there's a deep bond, but something needs to move to a next level here if it's going to have any chance of, making it for the long term. Is it actually time to, move on? In your outcome, we have Justice. So Justice is an energy which comes in to cut through any situation, to bring about balance and fairness. And that could be your person, you know, stepping up for you. And it also speaks, I feel, of, you know, karmic connections and soul contracts and things like that. You know, so it definitely feels like there's some soul lessons in this. You've stepped up to that. You've spoken your truth. And, you know, you've really embodied those energies of knowing your worth and your value here. And when we shift, it creates an invitation for the person that we're dealing with to shift. So it might be, it just needs a little bit more time. But, you know, in the meantime, just kind of stay true to you. So let's get your person's hidden message for you. So this is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation here. Virgo. Okay. I regret lying to you. So that's going to resonate for some of you. I hid who I really am from you. The timing just wasn't right for us. Doesn't mean it isn't now. I love you unconditionally. I look for you everywhere. So Virgo, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Capricorn. Capricorn. So one more shuffle. Okay, Capricorn, let's jump in. So I always like to tune into the energies first, Capricorn, before I start pulling any cards. I'm already feeling quite a challenging time for you, Capricorn. The energy feels a bit heavy to me, and I'm getting the sense of a little bit of toxicity and perhaps some, you know, kind of toxic, unhealthy patterns in your connection or behaviors from your person. Getting the energy of feeling a little bit trapped in a situation. There's something that feels slightly abusive about this, and that can be on many, many different levels to, you know, different degrees. Sometimes it can just be, you know, harsh words that are spoken, or it can be emotional. Let's just look at your overall energies. So the Five of Wands, conflict, competition, feeling like, you know, you have to fight for something, for somebody. And, you know, this may be, you know, the conflict that I'm feeling, because I definitely feel there's been arguments and conflict between the two of you. Your person's view of you, we have the Knight of Wands. This is often a player energy, and that's immediately what I feel from this. You might be dealing with somebody who perhaps isn't quite on the same page as you. They might be a bit of a player. Their feelings towards you, the Wheel of Fortune. That's why I feel like there's, you know, some soul lessons wrapped up in this. The Wheel of Fortune, sometimes it indicates a sudden change in direction. You know, if things have been challenging, it can represent, you know, things shifting for the better. But I also think of this card as your destiny in motion. You know, it's often an energy when, you know, the universe sometimes comes in and moves people, places, and situations to set you on a different path. Their intentions towards you, the Knight of Pentacles. This is a very slow-moving energy, and to me, I already get this sense of this is someone who knows what you want. They know what they need to do. You know, they know they need to step up, but they're just not really doing it. And it just feels like, you know, moving forwards, you know, moving things to a more healthy place or a next level is going really, really slowly. I just feel like, you know, you may be on different pages here. I just keep linking these two together, you know, the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, somebody who may not be quite ready to let go of a certain lifestyle, independence. And, you know, this is what this Five of Wands feels like. You know, maybe you're dealing with someone here who's got a lot of other interest and you're feeling like you constantly have to, you know, fight for this person. There's other people around them. You know, and this may be someone who is also perhaps entertaining connections, conversations that, you know, might be inappropriate, you know, if they're in a relationship with you. And so there's this sense of, you know, feeling like you're having to kind of watch what they're doing all the time and, you know, feeling of having to fight for this person. So your feelings towards your person is the Queen of Cups. And so there's definitely an openness to, you know, something more, something better with this person. You know, you may see the potential, but it's also important to look at, you know, what is going on in this moment? What is the reality of right now? And with the Queen of Cups, the lid is on the cup. So that's you, you know, you have a lot to give. You're ready to love someone, but you're also, I feel, being a little bit discerning, you know, with how much you give. Because I do feel there is a big question, you know, are you on the same page? Do you want the same things? There's obviously some, you know, negative kind of behaviors that this person is showing you or trying to hide from you as well. And is this somebody that, you know, you really do want to pour all that love into? So I do feel like it's good that we've seen the Queen of Cups here, because the feeling I get from this is you just being a little bit discerning in this situation. So in the challenge, we have the Ace of Pentacles. And to me, that feels like a challenge with this connection around growth, around walking, you know, a new path together and moving forwards into some kind of new beginning here. The invitation is there. The potential is there. And it feels a little bit to me like you're ready, but maybe they are not. But at the same time, you know, sometimes people come into our lives to help us learn certain soul lessons. And, you know, that may be what the Wheel of Fortune is all about here. That maybe, you know, this wasn't a connection that was meant to go for the long term. You know, sometimes it's just about teaching each other lessons. You know, you have the ability to open up, where the invitation for them is for a deeper love and something more and something meaningful. But their challenge is perhaps letting go of a certain lifestyle. The challenge is opening their heart. And for you, it might be a question of, you know, really staying true to what you want here and what you deserve, and knowing your worth and your value in this, not settling for less is what I'm feeling. And just as I say that, the hidden influence, the Queen of Pentacles, which is all about knowing your worth and your value and looking after yourself in this, and absolutely not settling for less. And, you know, like I said, sometimes it's about the soul lessons and embodying those lessons, which ultimately will lead you to what you do really want. Because when we pour into ourselves in that way, our energy shifts, and then we can actually attract a match, you know, and we can attract somebody that mirrors that back to us rather than what we're actually experiencing now. You know, and this is the thing, you know, they are not valuing you, they're not appreciating you or seeing your worth here because they're not stepping up. And that's a mirror. That's a mirror for, you know, the ways in which you are perhaps settling for less. You know, it's a mirror of the relationship that you're having with yourself. And that's why I feel like this may just be a very powerful soul lesson for you, Capricorn. Your advice from the universe, the Seven of Swords. This is a card of deception, and it represents, you know, somebody not being honest. And this is what I feel about the person that you're dealing with, unfortunately. You know, the timing is not just the timing is not right for them, but, you know, there's also these toxic behaviors where, you know, that trust is not there. You know, you're feeling like they've got other interests, you're having to fight for them. There's things being hidden, you know, things that they're, you know, not wanting you to see. And this is why I feel like, you know, this is someone who's a bit of a player. They might not be being, you know, loyal and faithful to you. And that's the energy of somebody, you know, really kind of sneaking around in the background and hiding things. And so, you know, it may be to focus a little bit more on what this is all about for you in terms of soul lessons, because that's going to make it easier to move on, you know, if that's what you choose to do in this situation. So in your outcome, we have the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man is all about, you know, seeing things from a different perspective. So you're being asked to take a pause. So the Hanged Man is about looking at an external situation and getting a fresh perspective on it, seeing it in a different way, which is what I was just saying about, you know, it's about the higher understanding. It's about understanding, you know, the soul lessons and what this situation, what this person, this relationship or connection is really teaching you in this. You know, the Hermit is more going within and looking for answers inside of ourselves. And the Hanged Man speaks of more external situations. So you're being asked to take a pause and, you know, have a look at this situation. And I feel, look at it from the viewpoint of, you know, soul lessons and understanding, you know, the higher perspective in that sense. So Capricorn, let's get your person's hidden message for you. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation here. Capricorn. We both know I'm not the one for you. It was my fault, but I blamed you. I love you. I wonder if you're happy without me. We need to let each other go. So Capricorn, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thank you so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.